What's up, you all? What's going on? What's up, Jahan? Appreciate it. What's up, Rick? What's going on, man? Let me just jump right into it. I was told you had to wait 5 minutes before you really started talking on YouTube, but you know, I'm just gonna jump back into it. What's up, Miss Jackson? Miss Jackson. What's up, AR2? Let me jump right into it. Let me jump right into it. Today's title is Black Ain't Beautiful, but Love Is, part two. Black Ain't Beautiful, but Love Is, part two. Let's start with, hold on. Let's start off with some comedy. Ooh, did I add that? I don't know if I added it. I don't know if I added it. Oh, that's the one I wanted to start with. Man. Here it goes. My bad, y'all. My bad.
My car.
Come on!
Get away from
really,
my car.
you? Boy? Get out of your car, boy! Son!
Go somewhere, crazy.
No, I'm not crazy. Get out of your car now.
You don't
Yeah,
want me to
eating your McDonald's?
You don't
Get
want
out
me
of
to
your
go
car,
outside.
asshole!
Get your order straight.
Come on. Come on now. I'm so ready to fight club this shit. Let's go. Come on.
No.
Come on.
No.
Pussy. Pussy. You're a fucking pussy. Get a degree. Go to school.
I am what I
Go
eat.
to school.
I am what I eat. You see my car
Really,
versus your car.
McDonald's? You're eating McDonald's? Go to school.
You see my car versus your car. Bye. Bye.
Make $1 million a year, you
But you eat
fucking
at McDonald's.
son. No, I'm not eating at McDonald's. I was getting a coffee at McDonald's. You?
That's not
$2
eating.
bill?
That's not eating. Take your ass on.
Get out of your car, pussy. Get
Go
out of
home.
your car.
Go home.
I'm here. No,
Go home.
come on.
Go home, Miss
Come on.
Washington. Take your ass home.
Come on. No, get your ass out of your car. Are you gonna post this? Because you look like a pussy right now. A pussy with your Get a degree. Go to school. Go to school. Oh, I'm putting it on the internet. Really?
Yo, get away from my car.
Now, I thought this was funny because everybody's waiting for her to say the N word. Like everybody's waiting for her to say the N word and she doesn't. There's this show called What Would You Do? And there's a show that used to be very popular. I think it was on ABC maybe. But anyway, they would pick real life scenarios and they would try to recreate them and see how folks responded. The funny thing about that show, What Would You Do, is it actually proves that most people, 99% of them, are not what they like. Most white people aren't racist. Most folks will help. Like the show literally shattered all the narratives about humanity. But I just thought it was funny that all this stuff is going on with all this propaganda on race stuff and all this, but then you got a show where people are literally put in the most adverse situations, and you got black folks sticking up for white people, white folks sticking up for black people. You got it all the people sticking up for LGBTQ, people sticking up for immigrants, disabled veterans. Like you really see the true humanity of people giving back money, people looking out for the elderly, disabled. The show really shatters the notion of how they try to portray the world. But it's funny that somebody can watch that show and still follow the propaganda. They literally use propaganda to make the show. So they'll pick incidents that happen in real life and they try to use those for the show. And it's always the majority of people are good-hearted, regardless of race, religion, or creed. I just thought she was funny because she wanted to fight him. Now I believe, listen, she wanted to tussle with him. A lot of these folks, these women like this, they unhinged a little bit. They want to feel that masculine energy, so they want to tussle with a man. That's all she wanted. So let me play it again. This is what I see, because clearly you're not gonna want to fight over. I don't know what they've been arguing about, but she wants to fight him. Clearly, she wants to be physically manhandled by him. This is all she might be a freak. This is all a cry for help. Well, not a cry for help. This is a cry for physical male attention. And of course, it'll be non-sexual. Remember what I said? 3 basic needs of a woman are security, provision, and non-sexual attention. So she wanted this man to get out of the car. She wants to wrestle him. She wants to fight club him. Okay.
Get away from my car.
Come on.
Get away from
really,
my car.
you boy? Get out of your car, boy, son.
Go somewhere, crazy.
No, I'm not crazy. Get out of your car now.
You don't
Yeah,
want me to
eating your McDonald's.
You don't
Get
want
out
me
of
to
your
go
car,
outside.
asshole.
Get your order straight.
Come on. Come on now. I'm so ready to fight club this shit. Let's go. Come on.
No.
Come on.
No.
Pussy. Pussy. You're a fucking pussy. Get a degree. Go to school.
I am what I
Go
eat.
to school.
I am what I eat. You see my car
Go eat
versus your car.
McDonald's? You're eating McDonald's? Go to school.
You see my car versus your
Go
car.
to-
Bye. Bye.
Make $1 million a year, you
But you eat at
fucking
McDonald's.
son. No, I'm not eating at McDonald's. I was getting a coffee at McDonald's. You?
That's not
$2
eating.
bill?
That's not eating. Take your ass on.
Get out of your car, pussy. Get
Go
out of
home.
your car.
Go home.
I'm here. No,
Go home.
come on.
Go home, Miss
Come on.
Washington. Take your ass home.
Come on. No, get your ass out of your car. Are you going to post this? Because you look like a pussy right now.
How does he know her last name though? Like, how does he know this woman's last name? This is funny. Like, how does he know her last name? I think this is odd to me. I don't know. Hold on, let's continue.
A pussy with your get a degree. Go to school. Go to school. Oh, I'm putting it on the internet. Really?
Yo, get away from my car.
If you ask me, she wanted some male attention, and that's just what I see. A lot of times women just want, it's just like a child throwing a tantrum. It's not really, she wants some male attention. That's all. She wants some male attention. Probably wants somebody to talk to. That's what she wants, but she probably got a miserable home life, you know, so she doesn't want to, you know, deal with her husband, but, you know, but let's continue.
Thought I saw it all. I honestly thought I saw it all. I remember I saw a photo shoot with someone in chains married to one of our counterparts. That in itself was, but this?
To even use the term counterpart is insane. Think about this now. We're talking about the human race. And you got black people running around talking about counterparts. Like, it's insane. Like there's some kind of war going on between white people and black people, or there's some kind of situation where it's only white and black on the planet. Like it's counterparts. Even the rhetoric is communist and Marxist. Counterpart as in what? I mean, like counter as in what? Like what is the counter to black culture? Decency, order, like I'm saying, stability, structure. What is the counter to black culture? What is the counter to black people? What is the opposite of black people? It's just the language is foolish. Joe said, "I'll take her. She looks good when she's mad." Listen, she wanted some attention. That's all. I'm just leave it at that.
Let me move out the way so y'all can see what's going on back here, because the gag I get, I know I'm not cotton, but will you pick me for prom? Really? Really? And honestly, I don't even know what I'm more mad at. The fact that he had the caucasity to make this sign, or the fact that sis actually stood there, held up the sign, and smiled. Smiled like you proud. Like the poster is worth smiling about. The Stockholm Syndrome is real on this one. Like, are you serious? Like, are you okay in the head?
And this is why most black folks are going to suffer, is because of this race stuff. It's because of this race stuff. These people, these young people, if they don't have a problem with it, why do you have a problem with it? If she's not offended by it, black people get offended for other black people. If she's not offended by it, if she's flattered by it, why is it a problem? If they like the joke, what's the problem? This is why I tell you all right now, don't listen to black folks telling you who to marry, because black folks want you to marry people to make them feel comfortable. They don't want you to be happy. You never hear black folks talk about marrying somebody and be happy. You just hear, you said marry somebody black. They never talk about happy, never talk about evenly yoked, never talk about building something together. None of that. The two become one flesh. None of that is mentioned. Black folks want you to marry someone to make them feel comfortable. Imagine her getting offended, and she's a Hebrew Israelite, but imagine her getting offended at these young people, and they living their best life, happy.
I want to know another thing. Who actually took the picture? I want to know who took the, you know what, it had to be his mom. Had to be his mom, because
How do you know it wasn't her mom? Broski Bear said whites are the most accepting of other races and cultures. It's a fact. Everybody in the world that is migrating, they're migrating to white countries. That's a fact. Like, there's nothing even discuss on that. So the fact that the entire planet wants to live up under white people should tell you everything. The media is trying its hardest to make white the worst thing ever, and people still want to live next to them. Even the media propaganding and programming can't stop it. Think about that. Even all of the propaganda and programming can't stop folks wanting to live next to white people. Think about that. So that either says one or two things. Either where they're coming from is so bad that they'd rather live with racist white people, or white people are the most accepting of all cultures and nationalities and ethnicities. One of the two.
ain't no mom that look like her gonna take a picture like that. I think I've seen it all.
Like, it's just, now listen, Klaus Schwab said by 2030, you're going to own nothing and be happy. The World Economic Forum said you're going to own nothing and be happy. I forgot the one report, though, they reported that black people are going to have zero wealth in 2053. So we got the Great Reset. We're in the Great Reset. You have the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You got by 2030, you're going to own nothing and be happy. You got another Peter pandemic coming. You got climate change by the rear its ugly head. You got all this stuff going on, and black people are talking about race. They literally have built fake suns. They have fake suns they've built. The only reason they're building a fake sun is because they plan on blocking this sun out. So imagine black folks running around talking about race, 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 and they look up in the sky and it's pitch black. How are you offended and they aren't offended? And they aren't offended. Let's continue.
This is Republican Representative Mike Collins, who thought that it was a great idea to tweet out a video of one of the most egregious examples of racism I've seen in quite some time under his official congressional account and caption it, "Ole Miss taking care of business." Well, I said what I said, and this is behavior that is so ill-advised from an elected Republican official. I do not even have the words for it. I said the same thing on Twitter, where I have 317,000 followers, and they didn't like it there. And to that I say, I said what I said when I said it. I say what I want on my time when I want to. If you have an issue with me calling the incident racist, if you have an issue with me calling out, by the way, an elected Republican official that is sharing this on an official Twitter account, that is on you, not me. You can cry in that comment section because I ain't looking at it.
What I find funny, I'm gonna play it again. Watch this. So the young man doing this, making the monkey noises, the chimpanzee noises, is supposed to mean that he's calling her a monkey. And I wish Leatherface was in here, because Leatherface said from now on, when he gets called a coon, he gonna call them. He said when he called black people monkeys after they call him coon, they can't take it. But my question is, how do you know his intent was to call her a monkey? And even if he did call her a monkey, does that mean he's racist though? And this is what I mean by what people are calling racism. It's not racism. Racism would have been if they strung her up and put a noose around her neck. That would be racism. He picked out one person in his clip, and he said that one person represented the entire group. This is what I mean by lack of context and nuance. That's what's going to destroy the world, is because everybody wants to paint everything with a broad brush. Nobody wants to get into the weeds of things. Nobody wants to talk about the nuance and the context. You have one person in the video doing something, and you don't even know why he's even doing it. You don't even know what is in his mind to why he's doing it. But your automatic assumption is that he's doing it because he's racist. So even the people that are conservative on the right are still brainwashed. They're still brainwashed. And this guy claims that he experienced racism and homophobia and all this. Man, shut up. Ain't nobody being racist to y'all. Racism is to deny you something in this world. Meaning you want to buy a car and they say you can't. That's racism. You want to go into this grocery store and they say you can't go in there because you're black. You can't buy this car because you're black. You can't shop at Whole Foods because you're black. That's racism. You can't do something because you're black. The lady in the first video, she called him boy, she called him son, but you assume that boy is racist. How do you know boy is not a term for immaturity? Black folks say all the time, boy, sit down, boy, shut up. So how do you know she's not saying it as a term of him being immature? Why? And again, this is a part of the white agenda. What the world is asking white people to do is to take everything and not dish it out. What the world is really asking white folks to do is to be like Christ. Think about this. Think about the mockery on God. The world expects white people to take all of this nonsense and then turn the cheek. Deal with all this madness and then turn the other cheek. We talk about anti-Semitism, but anti-Semitism pales in comparison to the anti-white agenda. There's no comparison. What white people go through is 1,000 times worse than what anybody's going through on the planet. 1,000 times worse. A white person can't even defend themselves. There's no platform, there's no major platform for a white person to defend themselves against this nonsense. None. There's none. White people get blamed for everything in the world. Everything. These folks said because he making monkey noises, how you know he ain't imitating Planet of the Apes? How you know he ain't imitating Planet of the Apes? He didn't call her a monkey. This is how simple-minded most people are. Because most people, at the end of the day, most people, they don't want to make the tough choice. And the tough choice is, I got to walk like Christ. I got to use wisdom and discernment. I'm not going to be able to fit in. The closer you get to God, the less friends you're going to have. The closer you get to God, the more you're going to lose. And when I say lose friends, I'm talking about the worldly people. You're going to gain people in the body of Christ. I'm talking about the more you go to God, you're going to lose all these people. Now imagine this man putting his flag down on something he has no context about. He's gay and he's black. He's begging to be offended. He's gay, he's black, and he's not Republican anymore. He's begging to be offended. Anytime I see a man getting offended, I know he's immature. Being offended by something is a sign of immaturity. Being offended by something is a sign of immaturity. You are a child. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I walked as a child. But now as a man, I put away childish things. Grown men shouldn't be getting offended. You should be able to see things for what they are. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Hold on, one more. I got two more.
History Month, and I've been such a bad girl. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to light this. All right. So basically, I just want to apologize to the Black community for being a racist. So I made you guys this watermelon cake in hopes that you guys will forgive me and make me a part of your shitty ass community. So once again, I apologize for being a racist, and fuck George Floyd.
Why did she make a watermelon? And again, who told you all that y'all couldn't eat watermelon? Who made y'all eating watermelon racist? And why'd you go for it? You know, it's black folks right now that will not eat watermelon in front of white people. You know how crazy that is? So that means you believe it's true. Why are black people offended by monkey and watermelon? How is that offensive? Because somebody calls you a monkey, says like it's insane. But I'll tell you why it's offensive. It's because you value the opinion of white people. Because deep down inside, you believe that white people have it more figured out than you. That's why when you all say things to them, like racial slurs, you expect not to even get upset about it. You expect them to not even get upset about it. Oh, they can take it. What the world is asking white people to be is to be like Christ. White folks get blamed for everything, literally.
It's Black History Month, and I've been such a bad girl. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to light this. So basically, I just want to apologize to the black community for being a racist. So I made you guys this watermelon cake in hopes that you guys will forgive me and make me a part of your shitty ass community. So once again, I apologize for being a racist and fuck George Floyd.
Well, she said what she said. But again, this is black people being offended, choosing to be offended by something that someone said. Choosing to be offended when there's no need to be offended. Literally, there's no need to be offended. Speaking of offended, where is it? Don't tell me. Come on, y'all. I need that one. I need that one. Y'all don't do it. I need them. So this video, I want to preface this. So this video is going to show you all, I want to give it context. It's going to show you all black people being beat by different races. And remember, I told you all that black people get bullied by the entire planet. They get bullied by the entire planet. So, but again, I don't have any context, but for the video's sake, they're going to go through all the races whooping black people. But I want you to pay attention to something. So you saw the Arabs, quote unquote, beating black people. You saw the Chinese beating black people. But when it came to white people doing it, they showed you a movie. They showed you actual, quote unquote, so they say Arabs beating black people. Then they show you Chinese beating black people. But when it came to white people, they had to show you a movie. They had to show you a movie when it came to white people. I want you all to watch the show, What Would You Do? Because it shows how the average white person responds when black folks are being mistreated. But let's continue.
Open your mouth.
So it says the Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel basically compared black people, so they say, to monkeys. But you notice they don't have him saying it. They don't like, and again, people could say, so they show you the Arab, they show you the Chinese, but when it comes to the white people, they show you a movie, and when it comes to the Jewish people, there's not, you don't have him, it's just them saying he said it. They said, And right when he gets to speaking, they cut it off. I look at everything, and I feel like I'm a very fair person. I do. I feel like I'm very fair. I talk about everybody. Everybody can get it. But now they got on here, Arabs comparing blacks to monkeys.
Open your mouth. Show me your tongue. Do look. The little monkey still got her tongue out. I'll take her.
Again, they show you a movie. It's a movie. So imagine the psychology that's played on the average black mind. They show you something real, show you something Hollywood. Show you something real, something Hollywood. Now Hollywood is real. You can't even distinguish. That's why black folks believe what they see on TV. Black people believe what they see on TV and in movies, like it's real life.
They call us monkeys when we were all equals. We have the same red blood flowing in our veins. Even women spit when we walk by.
Now listen, y'all. Now listen. Now just imagine it. Just imagine. Y'all migrate to a country. You leave your country, but you're complaining about being in the country. Then why are you there? Go back home. If you go to a different country and they spit on you, then go back home. Why would you stay? You're not telling the police. You're not using the local embassy. You're not taking you're not protesting. Like, so you're just walking by and getting spat on. That's on you. I'm sorry. That's on you. So again, I don't agree with these people complaining about something they signed up for. You decided to go to that country. You should have stayed where you were. And again, like I said, the entire world bullies black people. Now, one of two things are going on. Either the entire world is racist or these black folks are doing something. Either the entire world is racist or these black folks are doing something. They're not spitting on black Americans when they go over there. They're not spitting on black Americans when they go over there. So clearly there's something going on. It can't be about skin color.
You Arab bitches, come over.
I'll take her.
They call us monkeys when we were all equals. We have the same red blood flowing in our veins. Even women spit when we walk by.
Now this man done spit on this woman and went upside her head with a bottle, and nobody did nothing. She didn't do nothing. I don't know what, and again, I'm not advocating for violence, but you're not finna spit on me and go inside my head with a bottle. I'm sorry. It's just not gonna happen. So it is what it is. So the fact that he felt like he could do that is on you. Nobody should be that comfortable. I'm sorry. You're not finna spit on me and then hit me in the head with, man, you out your mind. You're gonna touch everything in that club. You're gonna touch he would have touched everything in that club. It's crazy. And the thing says, Jewish man spitting on black Israelite. But again, here goes the context. Most Jewish people ain't doing this. Most Arab people ain't doing that. Most Chinese folks ain't doing that. So what they're conditioning black folks to believe is that one person represents the group. It's not how that works. Because if that was the case, then Obama is an indictment on all black people. Big Mike is an indictment on all black people. If one person represents the group, then black people's name is mud in the world.
You Arab bitches come over here, making money hand over fist. Come outside. I could have came in here and doubled up. You don't call motherfucking nigga.
You have a blessed day, chicken nugget.
What the fuck you say, boy?
Huh?
What the fuck you say?
I said you have a blessed day, my boy.
Man, don't say no goof ass shit like that, man. I'll flip this bitch upside down. You fucking with me, so you saying the wrong shit. Ain't no
What you
mean?
Come on, with ships. With ships.
Right?
The ancient Hebrew Israelites were on cargo slave ships. That never happened to the so-called white man that calls himself a Jew. It never happened to your ancestors. You name the time, the place, the continent, the country, the city, the state, the area, name it. Name it right now, and we give you $1,000. Name it right now. Well, you on cargo slave ships. You are not listening clearly. Read what the scriptures say again. Read. The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. It said the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. By what? Come on. With ships. With ships. Come on, read. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. By cargo slave ships. Now watch this. Okay. You in Israel, right? You've been in Israel, right? Now watch what the Lord saying about it. Right. By the way, whereof I spake unto thee. Come on. Thou shalt see it no more again. He said that we weren't going to see our homeland no more.
First of all, a ship and a cargo ship could be two different things. A ship, a voyage on a ship, and being a slave on a ship is two different things. We've already discussed this whole slave ship narrative. All these voyages they had, but they can't show you one slave ship. They can show you dinosaur bones. They can show you the Noah's Ark. They can show you old Viking ships, but they can't show you a slave ship. They can literally show you a wolf head from 40,000 years ago, but they can't show you a slave ship. You got to make it make sense. I'm sorry. We got to make it make sense. All those slave ships, if they don't have any, they got 5 on record. They cannot show you a fully constructed slave ship. Come on. Stop. This caption says, who do black people stand behind? The Jews and the Arabs. So you got Floyd Mayweather with a diamond encrusted yarmulke. And he got the 6-sided star. You know, that 6-sided star is a pagan symbol, though. David never had a star, so I forgot where that star came from. I forgot, but that's a pagan symbol. That is nothing to do with God. Then they call him Rabbi Mayweather.
It is not common knowledge that the Arabic word abd is synonymous with the meaning of slave.
So my question is, if the Arabs are still, and again, there are more slaves in the world today than back during slavery. So my question is, why aren't black people in America, why aren't the libtards, why aren't the bliggity blacks, the wiggity whites, why aren't they advocating for the freedom of people around the world enslaved? Why aren't they advocating for the people around the world that are enslaved? Clearly, we can agree that more slavery in the millions is a bigger issue than police brutality. We can agree with that. Because police brutality only accounts for 0.03% of the homicides in the black community. But we know that there are 12 million global slaves now. So 12 million compared to 0.03, it don't really compare. So why aren't black people and white liberals and Jewish liberals, why aren't they fighting and advocating for the freedom of all these folks that are enslaved around the world? Why is there no major movement for them? The biggest global issue is slavery, because slavery is what they point to say that America's racist. America being racist, America being the most racist place in the world, only comes from the legacy of slavery. So if the legacy of slavery can indict the United States, then why doesn't global slavery today indict the world? Why doesn't slavery in the Middle East and Africa and China, why doesn't it in India, why doesn't slavery around the globe indict the world? I'll tell you why, because it's cap. That's why.
For example, Abdullah means literally the slave of Allah, and that in the language of the Arabs, all black peoples are called abid, plural, for slaves. While much has been written concerning the transatlantic slave trade, surprisingly little attention has been paid to the Islamic slave trade across the Sahara, the Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean.
Now, my question is, who decided to not include the Arabs when people in America discuss history? Who decided to say, we're only going to show white people owning slaves? We're not going to show black people. We're not going to show Africans. We're not going to show Arabs. We're not going to show Jews. We're only going to show one group of people that own slaves. Who came up with that? Who decided that? I'm curious. They had all this history, all this information, and they decided to leave out everybody except white people. They decided to leave out everybody except white people. Who was it? Who's responsible?
While the European involvement in the African transatlantic slave trade to the Americas lasted for just over 3 centuries, the Arab involvement in the African slave trade has lasted 14 centuries. The birth of Muhammadan Islam and its conquests brought about the birth of institutionalized, systematized, and religiously sanctioned slave trade on a massive and global scale.
J'étais obligé de pisser dans un bouton, donner ma vie à Dieu, et j'ai bu mon propre pipi. Tout ce qui est obtenu en
sanctioned slave trade on a massive and global scale.
We couldn't find water, so I was forced to urinate in a cavity.
Obligé de pisser dans un bouton, donner ma vie à
Surrender myself to God.
Dieu, et j'ai bu mon
I drank my own urine.
propre pipi. Tout ce qui est obtenu en
I was subjected to almost all kinds of torture.
Libye, j'ai suivi à peu près tout un peu. Souvent même
Sometimes they could remove one of your teeth with pliers.
on prend l'empêche, on enlève l'une de tes dents. Souvent c'était
But generally, it's the toes.
docteur. J'ai perdu
I lost some friends.
des amis. Les femmes enceintes
Pregnant women were raped, R-word in front of me.
étaient violées devant moi. Les femmes
They murdered women in front of me.
ils ont assassiné les femmes devant moi. Que tuer même ça les
Killing you is nothing.
dirait. Et puis ce qui est dans les têtes
In their minds,
des
black
Noirs
people are
sont
slaves.
les esclaves.
So again, you have all this horrific stuff being said, but yet there's no groups advocating for these people. Why are Hebrew Israelites arguing with Jewish people and white people on the sidewalks instead of concentrating on these folks that are enslaved now? Why is there this massive effort for the Hebrew Israelites and the Moors to rescue these people? Where's the Nation of Islam? Where are all these black groups that claim to be fighting against white supremacy? Why aren't they getting together with their resources and manpower and using those things to go free their brothers and sisters? They're getting tortured. They're still enslaved.
J'ai été une victime de l'esclavage.
I am a victim of migrant slavery in Libya. Now, what I find funny is, that's what I find funny. If you don't have any toes, how are you going to work? Remember in Roots, they cut Kunta's foot off? And he's running away. If you don't have a foot, how are you going to work? Think about a practical, if I cut off your toes, you can't work. You can't pick stuff up. You can't balance. So how can a person do manual labor with no toes? Help me out. It don't make any sense. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying the Arabs got to be kind of stupid. That's a bad business practice. That is a horrible business practice. I'm going to cut off the toes of my labor force. That don't make any sense. Let's continue. The world stands behind the Jews and Arab Palestinians, but no one stands for black people suffering. Why?
Esclavage et migrants en Libye. Et je suis prêt aussi pour parler.
And I am ready to talk about it.
Quand ma mère est décédée,
My mother
du coup, j'ai
died.
dit je vais vendre.
Link to a
Et je suis prêt aussi pour parler. Quand
When my mother died, I said I'd avenge my mother. Now, avenging your mother means avenging her. Speaking on Vice ain't avenging your mother. I'm sorry, it's not. Sitting in a comfortable room, safe, ain't avenging your mother. Avenging your mother would be going on a warpath. Like you were a Zulu warrior with your sword and your shield, decapitating folks. That's vengeance. You sitting up here talking to Vice ain't vengeance. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Right, and he got a mask on hiding. So again, I don't believe, you need more people. I don't believe. I think it's propaganda. I think it's propaganda.
ma mère est décédée, du coup, j'ai dit je vais vendre.
link to a movie based on a book. Movie came out in 2018, book 2015. It appeared strongly that Kyrie was endorsing and promoting said movie and book. Right. And the movie is based on the book.
Now, I want you all to pay attention, though. Remember when I said the year, leading up to October the 7th, I was seeing a lot. There was a whole campaign, a whole anti-Semitic campaign. I want y'all to pay attention. None of this is by chance. You had Kanye, you had Kyrie, then you had this campaign going against anti-Semitism with them billboards. So they put these bills, it's a nationwide campaign of these anti-Semitic, going against anti-Semitism on these billboards. And so all this stuff led up, and then we get hit with what? October the 7th. None of this stuff is by chance. None of this stuff is by chance. So we saw a progression of this whole Jewish narrative. And I told you all before that the Jewish community has to have a boogeyman. There has to be an adversary for the Jew. It has to be. There's always going to be something or somebody going against the Jew, whether it's a rapper, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Farrakhan. There's always going to be something going against the Jews. But I want you to go back through your timeline and look at all the Jewish rhetoric up until October the 7th. And I guarantee you'll see the trend that happened. Then October the 7th happened. And like I said, conveniently, they showed you everything with Israel and Hamas, but you can't find nothing on Russia and Ukraine. So that means somebody's deliberately showing you this and deliberately not showing you this. But it's all legit.
That Rolling Stone calls venomously anti-Semitic. Okay. Venomously.
The dumbest thing about the Kyrie thing was Amazon is selling the documentary or book or whatever it was. I think it was a book and documentary. Amazon was selling it. Nobody ever, I saw one person, Jason Williams, said Amazon is selling it, and they got mad. I'm like it was just the dumbest, like it's stupid. It's dumb. It's dumb. You're mad at Kyrie for retweeting something that Amazon is selling. It's dumb. Everybody, think about this. Amazon's making money off of it, but you're mad at Kyrie. It's cap. It's cap. You're trying to manufacture a boogeyman, but you can't make Amazon the boogeyman. Why? Because everybody uses Amazon. If you take a step back from all of this stuff, you can really see what's going on. It's not rocket science. Get your pride out of the way. Remove your emotions. Take a step back, and I guarantee you're going to see what's going on. They was mad at Kyrie for retweeting it, but not mad at Amazon for selling it. It was literally the dumbest thing ever. And now we fast forward to what we see now. Now they got everybody on these campuses strategically. Now think about this, you all. The George Floyd protests were staged. Can we all agree with that? The George Floyd protests were staged. What makes you believe that these pro-Palestine Hamas protests aren't staged? If the George Floyd stuff was a setup, what makes you think this isn't? If the Peter pandemic was a setup, if the Roe v. Wade was a setup, if everything is a setup, why wouldn't this be a setup? Everything we've seen the past 4 years has been a setup. So conveniently, all these campuses, all these liberal woke colleges are occupying territories and protests and all this like it's not strategic, like it's not contrived. It's done on purpose. I played the video last week. The girls didn't even know what they were protesting NYU for. They didn't even know. We just came in support. There are protest organizers. That means it's people that are in charge of getting people to do this stuff. It's a setup. It's a setup. You have to have discernment. Discernment. These are discerning times.
That the movie uncovers the true identity of the children of Israel by proving the true ethnicity of Abraham, Jacob, many others. Find out what Islam, Judaism, and Christianity have covered up for centuries in regards to the true biblical identity of the so-called Negro in this movie packed with tons of research.
It seems like Adam Silver wanted to hear the word I apologize, or in your mind you said I didn't mean to cause any harm. Were you apologizing or did you not apologize?
I didn't mean to cause any harm. I'm not the one that made the documentary.
To know their own name. Why? Because he took it away from them. Please. 20 million black people don't even know their own language. Why? Because he took it away from them.
Now, how much you want to bet? After all of this stuff is said and done, after all of this smoke clears, somehow, some way, all the restrictions are going to go against believers. How much you want to bet after all the smoke clears, after all the fighting stops, after all this stuff happens, how much you want to bet that all these restrictions are going to be aimed at God's people? Watch. Mark my words. I keep telling you all, it's a setup. They were looking for weapons of mass destruction and they never found them. And y'all believe they got nuclear weapons. I don't. The one time they went looking for nukes, it took them 20 years and they didn't find anything. They bluffing. The nuclear war thing is a bluff. To get you all so afraid that you say, okay, take my freedom here, take it. the button. What we waiting for? Push the buttons. Been in Mad Max mode the last 4 years. Push the button. The folks that know what's going on ain't having a great time. We ain't out here living our best life. We know that imminent doom is coming. What we talking about? Y'all ain't even seen a nuclear weapon. You ain't even seen one. And they got the world terrified of nukes. You mean to tell me all these countries got nuclear weapons and they haven't fired one? I thought they were cold-hearted. I thought they were dictators. I thought they wanted to rule the world. Think about the logic behind a nuke. If you deploy a nuclear weapon, you kill life on the planet. What would be the point? Everybody die? Doesn't make it. It's propaganda. It's propaganda.
20 million black people who don't even know the history of their ancestors. Why? Because he took it away from them.
Sorry for the hurt that your posts cause people.
It exists because white people think they're better than black people and they want to oppress us and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek, no more blessing our enemies, no more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us, we've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain.
Now imagine this man saying we're not going to do what God said do. This is what he's saying. We're not going to follow Christ. And the end result of that is by 2053, you're going to nothing to be happy. By 2030, you're going to own nothing to be happy. Excuse me. By 2053, they're predicting you're going to have zero wealth in the black community. So this guy is telling the world, we as black people, because he's speaking for black folks, he's saying we as black people are going to reject God's word and do it our way. And what's the end result of that being? You see, I don't care what they tell you, but the Bible says if you deny Christ, you deny the Father. The Bible says if you deny Christ, you deny the Father. So if I'm listening to somebody and I'm looking at somebody and I see they deny Christ, then I know what the deal is. You can't be following God. If you deny the Messiah, you are not following God. Let's go to the scripture so I can be clear on this. So I want to be clear. First John 2, 22 and 23. Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son. Whosoever denieth the Son, the same hath not the Father. He that acknowledgeth the Son hath the Father also. So according to God's word, if you deny Christ, you are not just a denier of God, but you're actually an antichrist. So now we can put two and two together and see that the antichrist will more than likely come from those who deny Christ. That's not me saying that. That's the word saying that. That's not me saying that. That's the word saying that. 1 John 2 and 22 to 23. Who is a liar but he that denieth that Jesus is the Christ? He's asking a question. He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son. Whosoever denieth the Son, the same have not the Father. He that acknowledgeth the Son hath the Father also. So in other words, anybody telling you they believe in God but don't believe in Christ is an antichrist. They're not the antichrist, but they're an antichrist. Angel Wing said, let the people know if you meet someone who claims to be an evangelist, but the individual is always in some mess and you never really hear them preaching the gospel, to not follow them. Don't follow them. Because it's easy for us because we can judge the tree by the fruit that it bears. We don't have to make it personal. The beautiful thing about God is that God ain't ruled by emotions. All we got to do is just judge the tree by the fruit that it bears. So it doesn't matter what somebody tells me, I look at the fruit. It don't have to be, it ain't deep for me. I look at what fruit is it yielding.
Control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it in Alabama. And I can say you, because you're part of the whole system, you profit from it. In fact, you make your living from it. You couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good.
But this guy that's speaking in this video, he is an antichrist too, though. Make no mistake about it. The guy in the video talking is an antichrist as well. He just said earlier, we're not following God's word anymore. We're not going to listen to what Christ said. So he's an antichrist too.
And old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated.
Do you, I guess, understand or not understand those that might imply that that work had anti-Semitic leanings in it? I only ask this because the tweet is still up there, so
We're in 2022. It's on Amazon, a public platform. Whether you want to go watch it or not is up to you.
This one made the whole thing stupid. Think about this. They were calling Kyrie anti-Semitic for retweeting a documentary. Amazon's actually selling the documentary and making money from it, and no one says a word to him. So Kyrie is anti-Semitic for the tweet, but Amazon isn't anti-Semitic for profiting off of it, distributing it the worldwide. So that means in this situation, they picked and chose what was anti-Semitic. Hence why I tell people, I don't agree with the anti-Semitic term. It's social communism, because clearly it's not used correctly anywhere. Kyrie's anti-Semitic, and the definition of anti-Semitism is to be hostile or prejudice towards Jewish people. Hostile and or prejudice to Jewish people. So is Kyrie retweeting something that Amazon is selling hostile or prejudice to Jewish people? The answer is no. Even if black folks believe they're the quote unquote chosen people and believe they're the Jews, it still ain't prejudice or hostile to Jewish people. It isn't. So at the end of the day, this was a seed layer. This was the propaganda and programming getting you ready for October the 7th. Remember I said they had the billboard campaign. They had you can look this up. They had a whole bunch of billboards as a campaign reminding everybody that America is still anti-Semitic. And they had to get billboards and remind you because otherwise you wouldn't know. See, the beauty of all of this is what they do actually has them telling on themselves. And this is not just for the Jewish community. The bliggity blacks do it. The libtards do it. Everybody does it. All these people are working for the same people. Everybody keeping up this upheaval among the people on the planet work for the same people. Let's continue.
There's things being posted every day. I'm no different than the next human being, so don't treat me any different. You guys come in here and make up this powerful influence I have over top of the adultery of, oh, you cannot post that.
Rick Hamsty said, Semitic is a language family, so Hebrew and Arabic are both Semites by definition. True. Only recently has Semite been only applied to Jews. It's true. But again, if we look up Semitic and Semite, there's at least 5 different categories of people based on, like he said, the language. But for some reason, when they talk about it, the other groups aren't included. And this is what I mean. The same way I attack the left for the lack of context, I attack everything the same way. Even in this video, I pointed out, when they start doing voice, when they start showing you movie clips and stuff, I know you ain't really got no information. You're trying to get folks emotionally riled up. And it is true that when they talk about Semitic, they never include the other groups of people. And the funny thing is, the other groups of people in the quote-unquote Semitic family never accuse anyone of being anti-Semitic. Think about the irony of that. All the other groups in the Semitic group never accuse anyone of being anti-Semitic. Let's continue.
Black man. Look like he got dreads. Nah. Lead the Sunday church to people, please. You're being lied to.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic."
This is a headset moment.
Black folks don't even realize that they're being used by the communists. And it's sad. Like they're actually playing audio from the communists. And they don't even realize they're being used by the communists. Bai Pai says, meanwhile, Israel was talking about passing a law to not allow people to say the name of Jesus in public. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'll look it up. But again, I'm telling y'all now, when all of this smoke clears, when all these laws get passed, when all of this stuff, people celebrating and say this is a great day in history, I guarantee they coming after y'all, the believers, after us, the followers of Christ. Mark, remember I said it here first, time stamp it and save it. When all this is said and done, somehow, some way, the believers are going to be the targets.
So anytime it's a hush up moment, that's when you really need to like look up and see what's really going on. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, this is how they did Kanye West. You know what I mean? They were all in the same wavelength.
Kanye West was staged, wasn't real.
All inspired about the truth. So Israelites, that's number one.
When Kanye West did his rant on a drinking club, there was 3 Jewish execs in the room. It's a staged event. It's cap. You see, once you all take a step back and just look at it, I promise you're going to see it. Once you take a step back and say, Lord, remove the scales from my eyes, you're going to see it. Cap. All of this stuff was preparation for what you see now. Because the whole goal behind all of this is that freedom of speech. That's what all this is about. And mark my words, I'm telling y'all right now, you best believe when it comes to freedom of speech, we already seen David Lynn. When David Lynn, you all should follow him, he's on YouTube. When David Lynn, he's the precursor. When David Lynn is preaching on these street corners, he is getting attacked by everybody. And the police usually side with the masses. They don't want him preaching God's word. Everybody comes together when it's time to shut up God's word. I want y'all to remember this. Everybody will unite when it comes to you and God's word. I'm telling y'all this right now. Somehow, some way, after all this stuff is stamped and passed and all this stuff, the number one target is going to be the believer. Just go watch David Lynn's videos. You'll see. Everybody is against him. Black, white, LGBTQ, Hebrew, it don't, everybody, Muslim, everybody's against David Lynn on that corner. Everybody. Everybody. Let's continue.
You know, they call them anti, to bring awareness to Hebrews and Negroes, just to let them know, like, this is a hush-up moment. So anytime it's a hush-up moment, that's when we really need to, like, look up and see what's really going on.
By the way, he's the guy that sent Kyrie Irving, where he sent the link of a documentary to watch that was freely available for people to watch on Amazon. He's the one that gave him the list of things he would have to do to be welcomed back into the NBA, which I don't think Kyrie Irving ever did it, but it's that guy. Basically, if you still like your career, I will tell you whether or not we accept your apology for the nothing that you did. It's disgusting, it's despicable, and Jamie Foxx should not have apologized because it's not what he meant when he said it.
Again, context. If they can, just think about this for a second. Think about this. And I talked about this before, of implied intent, meaning somebody telling you what you meant. That's dangerous. Imagine somebody saying, oh, no, you meant this. You're like, no, I did not meant this. No, you meant this. Implied intent is dangerous. This is what we're seeing. Just take a step back, rewind 2 years, and follow all of the anti-Semitism stuff down to what we have now. Just follow it. Just go back and just follow it, and you'll see. And you'll see. Because what this is about the one world government. This is about the Antichrist. The world has to be prepared for the Antichrist. The world has to be prepared for the Antichrist.
Men, stop apologizing for it. Your words are meaningless if you don't actually mean it. You didn't do the thing, so how could you mean the apology?
And again, in no way, shape, nor form do I support or endorse Hebrews to Niglets. There's no, this is foolishness. Listen, this is foolishness to me too. It's foolish. It's foolish. So I don't endorse, I'm just playing this for context, but I don't endorse this either, just for the record.
This is what is here. It's on a public platform. Did I do anything illegal?
And right, Goddess Navi. And when Candace Owens was defending Kyrie, why didn't she get attacked then? If Kyrie was being accused of being anti-Semitic, then why wasn't Candace Owens attacked then? Why didn't all this stuff that happened recently with her, why didn't it happen back then? I'll tell you why, because it wasn't a time. It wasn't a time for it to happen. Listen, y'all, if you take a step back, I promise you're going to see it. I promise you're going to see it.
Are you surprised that reaction and some of the things that you did hurt people?
Yeah, I think I can ask a better question. It's just, where were you when I was a kid, figuring out that 300 million of my ancestors are buried in America? Where were you guys asking those same questions when I was a kid learning about the traumatic events of my familial history and what I'm proud to come from and why I'm proud to stand here and why when I repeat myself that I'm not going to stand down, it has nothing to do with dismissing any other race or group of people. I'm just proud of my heritage and what we've been through. And the fact that this has pinned me against the Jewish community. And I'm here answering questions of whether or not I'm sorry or not on something I didn't create. And it was something I shared. And I'm telling everybody I'm taking responsibility. Then that's where I sit.
Look what they blocked me off Facebook.
Again, Kyrie is stupid, though. Kyrie is stupid. He's dumb. And again, this is an easy conversation to have. It's easy to say that black people don't know who they are. A lot of confusion in the black community about where black people actually come from, who they actually are. So anytime we can get somebody putting stuff together, it's worth to look at it. Anytime somebody puts something together for black people, it's worth us looking at it. We don't know who we are. It's simple. We have a lost identity. The Jews know who they are. The Hispanics know who they are. The Asians know who they are. Everybody knows who they are except us. So if anybody puts something out, we should be allowed to review it, especially when Amazon is selling it and making money off of it. So again, it's an easy conversation to have. But you can't, because context removes emotion. And so my point is that I don't agree with Kyrie in what he's saying about where was you at with 300 million, all that cap, all that bliggity black cap. I don't agree with that either. But I do agree with this premise. Picking on Kyrie and not Amazon, to me, says everything. Because you know if you pick on Amazon, it's going to affect Amazon's bottom line. And you know Amazon is too powerful to do that. So you're not going to do that. You're going to pick on Kyrie. It's easy target. So Adam Silver should have said, I want to have a meeting with Jeff Bezos or whoever the current CEO of Amazon is. Not Kyrie, Jeff Bezos. Because Jeff Bezos is the one, if you're so concerned about what Kyrie tweeted, Jeff Bezos is the one that he tweeted something from Amazon. So again, this is why I don't agree with the term anti-Semitism. I don't agree with the term anti-Black. I don't agree with the term anti-Asian. I don't agree with the term homophobia. I don't agree with transphobia. I don't agree with none of that stuff. Because most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it ain't got nothing to do with none of that stuff. The person did something that was out of pocket and they got checked. Let's continue.
Facebook for. They blocked me for posting Hebrews to Negroes. I posted Hebrews to Negroes, just a poster, and they blocked me for 30 days twice.
Kyrie Irving posted a link to a movie that he had seen on Amazon. No caption on the post or nothing like that.
Seen recently big celebrities reposting vile anti-Semitic conspiracy theories online.
The slave masters would bring the buck, the one that gets out of line. So all the other slaves would see lash after lash.
Kyrie's not a slave. He's not a buck. He's a 9-figure man, 9-figure earner. So again, he ain't a victim, none of that. So again, I don't agree with this stuff. I don't agree with all this buck breaking. I don't agree with none of this stuff. But for Barack Obama to say that it's anti-Semitic and it's vile, he ain't even watched it. He ain't even watched it. Like most people talk about it even, and again, so to me, we got to examine the thing for what it is. You can't not watch the documentary and then say it's anti-Semitic. You got to actually watch it first to determine what it is. I'm going to say it's trash. To me, I don't think it's going to be, clips honestly, I don't think it's good, but that's me.
Show them the power to set an example.
So they can control you by not allowing you to come to an interview. Right. Did any mainstream news at all allow you at least an interview?
Forget about where you're born. As long as you're a black man or black woman, you are Hebrew or you are Israelite.
Why are they so afraid of you? Why are they so afraid of allowing you to speak?
But isn't that video for sale on Amazon?
Yeah, it's an excellent point.
That's the craziest thing ever.
Cover this in Christianity, but the Bible actually foretells of the recolonization and invasion of the land of the Bantu people by Gog and Magog's army. Through covert and
I mean, we've seen enough. We've seen enough. You know, we've seen enough. But I see Pretty Liddy on here. So there was a video that she posted today with Ben Shapiro talking. And, you know, I wanted to talk about it today.
I'm not raising black children.
Oh,
I'm raising children.
That's not it. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me try to get to that video clip.
That said, when it comes to Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act has been used by administrators on college campuses to protect their favorite intersectional minorities only. So, as we all know, if these were protests right now that were being held on college campuses and they were calling for, say, killing black people as opposed to killing Israelis or killing Jews, if they were chanting for the elimination of an entire state, an entire Muslim state, for example, if it said Saudi Arabia ought to be wiped off the map completely, you know that the administrators would shut that down forthwith, right? Because there are groups that rank high on the intersectionality hierarchy, and those groups are preferred. Those groups are the ones you're not allowed to discriminate against. So Title VI has been unevenly applied for literally decades.
I agree with Ben Shapiro on this. I agree with him on this.
Which is why you can see open anti-white discrimination on campus all the damn time, even though it's forbidden by Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 64. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 64 is at least facially neutral with regard to which groups can be victimized by discrimination. But in application, I have yet to see a case where anti-white discrimination, which happens all the time, harassing environments for white students on college campuses are quite real, and they've been quite real for decades. People on college campuses shouting anti-white racist slogans, that's been a thing since I was in college and long before. And nobody's ever said that's a Title VI violation. Okay, so Title VI has always been applied only to the left's favorite intersectional groups. So
no one's ever said it's racist. Like if a white person says something that's quote unquote deemed as racist, it doesn't have to be Title VI or anything like. It's just they racist. Nobody goes to the books and it's just the racist. But when it's done to white people, now all of a sudden you got to go to the books and see what's really what's going on. What section is it's crazy. Let's continue.
So what the Congress was attempting to do today with this bill was to define such that Jews would also said that's a Title VI violation. Okay, so Title VI has always been applied only to the left's favorite intersectional groups. So what the Congress was attempting to do today with this bill was to define anti-Semitism such that Jews would also be protected. Now, theoretically, white people should already be protected because, again, discrimination based on race is forbidden by Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 64. Discrimination of Jews is forbidden, but discrimination against Jews is a bit of a weird category because the anti-Semitism is a category different from racism. Anti-Semitism is not a subset of racism. It's an entirely different theory of discrimination. Not better, not worse, not more important, not less important, just different. Anti-Semitism, in its essence, is a conspiracy theory about the shadowy power of the Jews behind the institutions, about how the Jews are conspiratorially ganging up together in order to harm other people, and that's why they must be stopped. That's of racism. It's an entirely different theory. Jews would also be protected.
Pay attention.
Now, theoretically, white people should already be protected because, again, discrimination based on race is forbidden by Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 64. Discrimination of Jews is forbidden, but discrimination against Jews is a bit of a weird category because the anti-Semitism is a category different from racism. Anti-Semitism is not a subset of racism. It's an entirely different theory of discrimination. Not better, not worse, not more important, not less important, just different. Anti-Semitism, in its essence, is a conspiracy theory about the shadowy power of the Jews behind the institutions, about how the Jews are conspiratorially ganging up together in order to harm other people, and that's why they must be stopped. That's the common running thread of all anti-Semitism. So
notice what he said. He said that anti-Semitism is this belief that basically the Jews are behind everything, all the institutions. They basically run the world, and they want to harm everyone. And he says that's what makes it different than racism. So my question to you all that like to think, why are white people treated bad? What does the person of color believe about white people? That white people what? Are equal to them? They're on the same page? What is the conspiracy theory surrounding people being racist towards white people? When black folks are mad at white people, what do they say? They say that the laws are racist, the corporations are racist, the government is racist, the president is racist, the vice president is racist, the police is racist, the entire country is racist, everybody white in the world is racist. So black people believe that white folks run everything. So my question again is, based on what Ben Shapiro is saying, what is different from how folks are viewing Jews than how people are viewing white people? The Catholic Church, the Vatican, is believed by many to run the world. The Pope is believed by many to run the world. The Pope is believed to be the Antichrist. Saying that all Catholic priests do stuff to little boys is normal. So you got a whole segment of the population that believes the Vatican runs the world, that believes the Pope is the Antichrist or runs the world, and believes that the Catholic Church is hiding a ring of pedophilia. What is different from why folks are racist towards white people and why folks are against the Catholics? Based on what Ben Shapiro said, the same intent is with both of those groups. The same is with both of those groups. When we talk about who runs the world, it's not just Jewish people that they talk about. They talk about the bloodline families. Hold on, let me see. I don't think I'm playing. They talk about the bloodline families. Let me just go real quick. Let me go real quick on y'all, real quick. They talk about the families. Look at this. Conspiracy theory. The 13 families you think rule the world. The Astor bloodline, the Bundy bloodline, the Collins, the DuPont, the Freeman, the Kennedy, the Lee bloodline, the Onassis bloodlines, Reynolds, Rockefeller, Rothschilds, Russell, and Van Doon. And again, those are not all Jewish families. So even the first conspiracy is not 100% Jewish. So now we go to the second conspiracy, the families that actually really run it, they say. The Borgia bloodline, the Breakspear, the Somalia, the Orsini, Conti, Shiji, Golana, Farsni, Medici, Gaetani, Pamphili, the Esti, the Albrandini. They sound Italian to me. They sound Italian to me. So even when it comes to the ones they say really run the world, they all sound Italian. So my point is, when it comes to
what Congress was trying to do.
So when it comes to Ben Shapiro, I'm not feeling what he's saying on this, because you're saying it's a separate category based on how people view you all as running the world. But clearly, factually, conspiracy theories extend beyond Jewish people. They go to the Catholics, they go to the bloodline families, the lizard people, they go to the aliens. The conspiracy theories about who runs the world is not just for Jewish people. So my question is, if it's not just for Jewish people, then why is there a separate category on how people are labeled that do it? Why are Jews separated from this whole conspiracy thing? Why is it anti-Semitic for Jews, but nothing for the Catholics? Nothing for these bloodline families. Nothing for the aliens. Nothing for the lizard people. Nothing for the Anunnaki, the Nephilim. Just think about conspiracy, about who runs the world. Think about the conspiracy theories and think about how many groups are included that aren't Jewish. The majority of the groups that are included are not Jewish. So my question is, if that's the truth, and it is, then why do you need a whole separate category? This is based on what Ben Shapiro said, not what Blanche is saying. The definition says to be hostile and prejudiced towards Jewish people. Hostile and or prejudice towards Jewish people. So why, again, why is there a separate category? It doesn't make any sense. So even Ben Shapiro is falling into the propaganda, because he assumes that the conspiracy who controls the world is only about Jewish people, and it's not. It's not. They even say that black people came on a spaceship and did all this. I mean, it's all kind of conspiracy theories out there about who runs the world. They say it's a black nobility out there. They say the Moors did it. They say all kind of stuff. So based on what Ben Shapiro is saying, though, if it's happening to every group, then why in the world do y'all have a separate category? Why can't it just be bad for everybody? Why can't it be bad for everybody? Let's continue.
In the institutions, about how the Jews are conspiratorially ganging up together in order to harm other people, and that's why they must be stopped. That's the common running thread of all anti-Semitism. So what Congress was trying to do was create a working definition of anti-Semitism such that they could then apply Title VI restrictions to go after the funding for the universities. That's what this bill was about. The problem is the bill fails in two particular ways. It fails, number one, because it obviously is unconstitutionally vague, right? It operates as yet another element of what should originally have been an unconstitutional hate speech law. As I say, all of Title VI is an unconstitutional hate speech law, but this adds to that by incorporating within it the international Holocaust remembrance definition, working definition of anti-Semitism. And that working definition of anti-Semitism has some cases that are included within it that obviously are vaguely worded, to say the least, and probably almost certainly encroach on free speech concerns, the IHRA definition. So the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, for example, which is what was codified in this House Bill 6090, It says, quote, anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish community, institutions, and religious facilities. So that's quite vague. So the IHRA then gives a bunch of examples. And some of these examples are, in fact, good examples.
You can't use the word to define the word. Go back and listen to what he just said.
Of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals. So the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, for example, which is what was codified in this House Bill 6090, it says, quote, anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews, which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish community, institutions, and religious facilities. So that's quite vague.
So even in that definition, it says hatred of Jews. And again, what is a hatred of a person? How do you determine whether somebody hates somebody? Hate speech. Again, these are subjective terms. How do you determine that I hate you? Think about this. Think about a governing body deciding what you say, whether or not it's hate or not. Whether or not it's hate or not. This is what I mean. If you want to make laws against talking about somebody, then just make laws against talking to somebody. But once you start splitting these categories up, I'm telling you, it's going to be problematic. Who do you all trust to determine who's speaking correctly and who isn't? Now, when it came to something that affected all of humanity, they said everybody has to get the shot. So when it comes to this whole free speech, that they're going to say everybody got to be quiet. I'm just telling y'all how this is going to end. It's not going to end. It's not going to, none is going to end good. The Bible says that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. All have sinned. Nobody is above, nobody's below. We all have sinned. We all need God's grace. We all need to be born again through Christ. So again, let's continue.
The IHRA then gives a bunch of examples. And some of these examples are, in fact, good examples of anti-Semitism. And some of them are quite vague in how they're worded, or in some cases, just plain overbroad. So, for example, here's an example of what's obviously anti-Semitic: calling for, aiding, or justifying the killing or harming of Jews in the name of a radical ideology or an extremist view of religion. Right? That obviously, I think everyone agrees, is anti-Semitism.
But listen to what I'm telling you. Calling for the eradication of a human being is anti-human. Like, there doesn't need to be a separate term for that. Calling for the eradication of anybody is anti-humanity. Why is there a separate category? It doesn't make any sense. Wishing genocide upon any group of people on the planet is wrong. You don't have to get a separate category for it. It's wrong if it's done to anybody. But when you separate it, you make it seem like it's only being done to one group. That is the psychological or subconscious programming, is that you make it seem like all of this stuff is being done, it's only done to that group. So it's only one group that people want eradicated. We can look throughout history on this whole genocide thing. Communism itself, they said estimated have killed over 100 million people. 100 million. There's no separate term for inflicting communism on people. Somebody put a post up and it said, why do they always show you a movie about Hitler and the Holocaust, but they never show you a movie about Stalin, Mao, and Lenin? Now, it's estimated the Germans killed 6 million Jews, and that makes for good movie and television entertainment. I'm not saying it's a good what happened. I'm saying that that horrific act makes for good Hollywood, good TV shows and good movies. But Mao, Stalin, and Lenin, and we can throw in Marx and Engels, are responsible for 100 million deaths. So surely, if the Holocaust makes for good entertainment, surely what the communists did has to make for good entertainment as well. So why would you exclude something that literally has impacted the world like communism? The Holocaust impacted the world. We had World War II, impacted the world. But the communists were equally as impactful, because guess what? The communists still got their hands in everything. The communists still got power. These Nazis ain't got no power. These Nazis, they don't have any power. Maybe the Nazis in the Ukraine, that's about it. Maybe the Nazis in the Ukraine, but that's about it. So again, my point is, why do you need a separate category? Why? I don't get it. Hollywood makes sure that we know about what happened to the Jewish community, and they should. But why isn't Hollywood letting us know what the world has suffered from these communists? Why isn't Hollywood educating us on Mao, Lenin, and Stalin, Marx, and Engels? Why is Hollywood doesn't have a vested interest in us knowing the dangers and pitfalls that come with communism and Marxism? Especially because they're alive and well today. Or are you telling me that Hollywood itself is communist and Marxist? So you mean to tell me that the communists and Marxists won't tell you about communism and Marxism, but they'll tell you about the Holocaust and Hitler? It's not making any sense. This is why you don't have separate categories. When you have separate categories, folks get to picking and choosing. Folks get to picking and choosing. Let's continue.
Making mendacious, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews as such, or the power of Jews as collective, such as especially, but not exclusively, the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or of Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. Okay, again, that seems like pretty rote anti-Semitism.
So when I'm talking now, again, during the whole Kyrie, Kanye thing, I went and looked up all the CEOs of all of the major media companies, all of them. And what do you think I found? I looked up all the CEOs. Let me give you an example. I looked up all the CEOs of all the major media companies. I looked up all of them that are responsible for giving us information via whatever we get it through, television, phone, everything. And I looked it up, and the vast majority of CEOs were of the Jewish community. Does that mean they're taking over the world? No. Does it mean they're bad? No. But the fact still remains that they were of the Jewish community. And so the problem is, you'll have Jewish people, if you go to Jewish publications, they'll brag about who's Jewish. They'll tell you this person is Jewish and that person is Jewish and this, and they'll brag about it. They'll say we're overly represented in this, overly represented in this, they'll brag. But then if I say, well, if y'all are overrepresented and it's bad, then it's y'all fault. It's anti-Semitic. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Black folks run these inner cities. I blame black people. Black folks run these inner cities. I blame black people. I don't blame the president. I don't blame Biden. I blame black people when they run these cities. So what I'm saying is you can't brag about running industries. And then if I say you're responsible for something, you tell me it's anti-Semitic. You can't have it both ways. So you can't have both. I'm sorry. Now, do I agree with people saying they got to be eradicated? No, I don't agree with none of that kind of stuff. For nobody, though. It ain't just because they're Jewish, it's for anybody. But at the same time, though, if you're overly represented in an industry and people are saying it's bad, then rightly they're going to blame you. There's no different than me blaming these biggity blacks that run these cities. It's no different. I'm not going to pick and choose. So again, the way I expect black folks to hold black folks accountable, I expect the Jewish folks to hold Jewish folks accountable. It ain't no different. But you can't brag about being overrepresented in these industries and then say, okay, but it's not us though. That's cap. Because what the world is doing is they're hiding behind white people. They're saying whatever's wrong with the world is white people, particularly conservative white people. Conservative white people don't run or control anything, but they get blamed for everything. Who's doing the blaming? Conservative white people get the blame for everything. So again, when it comes to conspiracy theories, they are not limited to Jewish people. When it comes to who controls the world, it's not limited to Jewish people. I can easily say that communists run the world. I can easily say that Marxists run the world. Let's continue.
But there are some of these that are overbroad. So, for example, drawing comparisons of contemporary Israeli policy to that of the Nazis. Now, I can see why the IHRA is saying that swings into anti-Semitism, because when you accuse the Jews of doing to other people what the Nazis did to the Jews, it's uncomfortably borderline anti-Semitic in the same way that it's uncomfortably borderline racist if you were to accuse black people of enslaving white people. It's weird, but however.
No, black people would enslave white people, though. Black people would do it. And black folks have done it. So again, this is not like, and this is my stance on all of this. I don't believe in separate groups. Everybody gets judged the same. Period. So if it's wrong to wish genocide on Jewish people, it's equally as wrong to wish genocide on white people. It's not no separation. Both are wrong. One is not more wrong. One is not different wrong. They're the same wrong.
That definition may have worked better 30, 40 years ago. It doesn't particularly work well now because everyone compares everything to the Nazis. So comparing Israel to the Nazis is basically rote at this point. It's what everyone does with everyone at all times. Trump is Hitler. Biden is Hitler. Everyone is Hitler. Everyone I don't like is a Nazi. So that is now an overbroad definition.
But that's wrong, though. So on one hand, you have anti-Semitism, but what's the term when you accuse folks of being Hitler? What is that? What does that fall under? What's the consequence for someone accusing someone of being Hitler? What's the consequence? What's the consequence of telling the world that I am a person that would kill millions of innocent people? Give me the term. Defamation of character? Now, if Hitler is the quote unquote figure that's really the foundation of all of this anti-Semitism, because that's what the fear is that we'll go back to the Holocaust. So the fact that Hitler is what everybody points to. So we got anti-Semitic and Hitler right there together. Then what's the term when you accuse me of being that person as Hitler? King Leopold is believed to have killed 15 million people, Africans in the Congo. Where's that movie? King Leopold killed 15 million Africans, no movies. Nobody cares. What's the term for the folks in the Congo getting slaughtered by King Leopold? What's that term? Do they have a special term for them? Is it anti-Congolese? Like, what's the term? What's the separate category for the people that got 15 million of them slaughtered by the white man from Europe, King Leopold? What's the category? You see my point? It's picking and choosing. If it's wrong, it's just wrong. We ain't got to separate different. If it's wrong, it is wrong. Global conspiracies don't stop with Jewish people. They don't start nor stop with Jewish people. The reason why there's an anti-white agenda is because folks believe that white folks run the world. The reason why folks don't like the Catholics and the Vatican and the Pope is because they believe they run the world. What are you talking about? The reason why folks are anti-corporation because they believe they run the world. So you can't tell me that because folks believe that your people run the world, that you get a whole separate category when it's done to other groups.
For example, there's a claim here. It says, using the symbols and images associated with classic anti-Semitism, e.g. claims of Jews killing Jesus or blood libel to characterize Israel or Israelis. Now, again, I know what they're going for. What they're going for is the Der Stürmer cartoon of, for example, an Israeli soldier who is drinking the blood of a Palestinian child, right? Clearly anti-Semitic. Or an Israeli soldier who is killing Jesus. And Jesus is a Palestinian, clearly anti-Semitic. However, the way this is phrased suggests that it is anti-Semitic to say that Jews killed Jesus. Well, according to the New Testament, Jews did involve themselves in the killing of Jesus. Jews, the Sanhedrin, according to the New, again, I'm a Jew, so this is not my book. But my best understanding from all my Christian friends and from reading the New Testament is that the Jews, under the New Testament, the Jews referred Jesus for prosecution to Pontius Pilate, who then convicted, out of fear of riots, Jesus to death, and then gave the Jews the opportunity to free Jesus, and they chose not to do so. And the book of Matthew, there's a verse where it says, his blood be upon us and our children, right? That's all from the New Testament. Hey, Christians saying all that stuff doesn't make Christians anti-Semitic. I think what the IHRA was actually going for here was a different claim, which has been rejected by the Catholic Church, which is that Jews today are collectively responsible for the death of Jesus, which is not what the Catholic Church says. It's not what Protestants say. Again, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm not a Christian, is that the basic idea is that all of humanity is collectively responsible for the death of Jesus. That is humanity's great sin, and Jesus wiped away original sin through his death. And Jews are a stand-in as a sinful group in the death of Jesus for everyone. Okay.
So I'm glad he said that that's not anti-Semitic. The Jews did kill Christ, but they were his people. So it wasn't like it was a separation between Christ. Like his own people killed him. And so, it's not anti-Semitic like he said it's not. But at the same time, though, Jews killing Christ 2,000 years ago, the Jews today aren't responsible for that at all. No different than white folks not being responsible for slavery 200 years ago. So again, to me, it's the same thing. To me, it's wrong either way. It's wrong to accuse current Jews of killing Christ, and it's wrong to accuse white people of being slave masters. It's wrong on both ways. The only difference is there's a separate category for the Jews and not for the white people. That's my point. I'm saying it's wrong on both ends.
put all of that aside, the definition is vague and badly worded. Okay, that is the problem with the IHRA.
And the argument could be made, thank you, Paul. Argument could be made that the Jews killed Christ and the Romans. I can say that the Jews killed Christ and the Romans killed him. What does it, again?
A definition here. So the problem with this bill is that in encapsulating this definition, it strays into free speech territory. Now, as I say, I'm kind of bewildered as to why everyone is now getting upset about this as opposed to, say, Title VI itself, which wildly veers into free speech territory, but I get it. I get it. So, and I agree. I think it's overbroad, and I think the definition should not be applied in American law in this way. The solution to that, by the way, is to get rid of Title VI, as I said at the very outset right here. The most important thing that fails here is that it actually doesn't achieve what it's trying to achieve. So the goal of the bill is to give the legislature an additional tool to hold Joe Biden and the White House accountable for not defunding all of these universities. Well, they can already do that. There are already letters on the books from the Department of Education. They are called Dear Colleague letters that say,
now listen, I agree 1,000%. Anybody protesting for Palestine on these campuses needs to needs to get expelled. They do. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with you all, with America, most of you liberal idiots on these campuses advocating for Palestinians when y'all was the main ones terrorizing us when it came to them masks and them shots and them mandates. Y'all was the same ones saying you wish that we died, you wish we couldn't go to the hospital, you hope we got sick. Y'all was the same ones doing that. But now y'all are righteous again. All you mask-wearing libtards, I would want every one of you all to be expelled from your campus, to be expelled from school. How dare you all try to be virtuous after just 2.5 years ago, y'all were maniacs, ballistic, going crazy when y'all had the leverage y'all had. When y'all had the leverage of the needle and the mask and the mandates and the thermometers and all that stuff, y'all was going crazy. Think I forgot about y'all? I wouldn't care if they expelled every last one of you all from them campuses. Let's continue.
That the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VI, applies to Jews. You don't even need a definition of anti-Semitism to hold the executive branch to account. What's more important, you shouldn't do any of that anyway. You shouldn't leave it up to the executive branch. You should just defund the universities through political act. All you have to do is pass a law that says federal funds shall not be used on behalf of higher education. You should go seek private loans. That would be the actual solution to the higher education problem. But they're not going to do that. Again, I see what they're attempting to do, which is to say to Democrats, listen, we see that you only want to protect certain groups. We want to protect all the groups. And so we're going to add new definitions here that protect all the groups. But it's sort of like the argument people sometimes use with DEI, where they're like, should we abolish DEI or should we just broaden DEI to include other groups? The answer is you should abolish DEI. It's the same sort of argument.
Yeah. And so he mentions that Jews are protected under Title VI. This is what he said in the end. He just said they're protected. And what I'm saying is that you don't have to separate anything. It's wrong to discriminate against anybody or to wish genocide on anybody. Like, you don't have to separate any kind of categories. That's why it's getting so confusing. Just say it's wrong. If you do this to any group, it's wrong. But when you start saying, well, this is anti-Semitic if you do this and if you do that, no. It's wrong for anybody that does it. And if you're on campus and you're protesting, you should be expelled. Because I know your intent behind it isn't righteous. You all are communists. You all are Marxists. You all want to wish death on America. Y'all are yelling out death to America. How y'all go from free Palestine to death to America? It's ridiculous. Expel all of y'all. Kick them out. Defund the school. I don't care. But to say death to America because you think you know what's going on in Israel and Palestine, we can't have it. Rick Hempstead. I agree 100%. He's making the exact argument in reverse, switching DI with the Jews. Exactly. And that's my point. When you separate the categories, this is so you can't say it's separate, but it's the same. It's separate, but it's no different. It's not worse. That's not how that works in life. Tell me when in life has something been separate and it's been what they call quote unquote. They even said it can't be separate but equal. That's why I say it got to be the same. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And if it's wrong for the goose, it's wrong for the gander. Like, you ain't got to do all this confusing rhetoric. Just, it's wrong. Blaming Jews for everything is wrong. Blaming any group for everything is wrong. It's just wrong. But it ain't different wrong. It ain't more wrong or less wrong. It's just wrong. Wishing genocide on a group of people is wrong. But I can also say that a person questioning who runs the world is not the same as a person saying we want genocide on a group of people. But the problem with anti-Semitism is it's lumped in the same category. So the person that says I have questions and the person that says death to them all is in the same group. We can't have that. Again, I talk about nuance and context. That's why I don't like the term. That's why I don't like the term. Because when it comes time to explain the term, they don't do it. Explain to me how I'm anti-Semitic. Even if I'm wrong, I still have the right to question. Somebody asked about this shirt earlier. The shirt is Black Lives Are Just Matter, and it says Planned Parenthood. We've killed more blacks than the Klan. Black lives are just matter. Planned Parenthood. We've killed more blacks than the Klan. So, again. Anyway, let's get to these super stickers. Jahan, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Idris Singleton, thank you so much for super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Miss Tucker, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Carl Olive II, slavery is a choice. Eat more watermelon. Thank you, Carl Olive. Thank you so much. The act they just passed, definition, is from the State Department of Anti-Semitism. One definition is using the symbols and images associated with classic anti-Semitism claims of Jews killing Jesus. Again, the Jews did kill Jesus, and so did the Romans. So we can blame the Jews and the Catholics. I mean, what we talking about? Like again, if imagine your religion, aspects of your religion are seen as anti-Semitic. How do we solve that problem? The Jews don't believe in the Messiah. They believe he hasn't returned yet. So again, how do we wrestle with me having my faith and you telling me it's anti-Semitic? So if I tell a Jewish person that if you deny Christ, you deny the Father, is that anti-Semitic? If I tell a Jewish person you still got to be saved by Christ, is that anti-Semitic? If I say it to a Muslim person, it isn't. If I say you need to give your life to Christ to any other group, it's not even considered anti-Semitic. It's not considered anti-anything. But if I say it to the Jews, anti-Semitic. This is what I mean by these separate categories. We got freedom of religion and freedom of speech. But I'm telling y'all right now, at the end of all of this, somehow, some way, it's going to be against the believers. Thank you, Cruise Missile, for the super stick. I really appreciate it. Thank you, MKOK. MKOK says the bloodline families hide behind the Israel flag, and also there are many Jews among them. And again, I listed these bloodline families. All of them aren't Jewish. We've already gone through the global conspiracies. They involve multiple people and actual beings. Some folks even say it's AI controlling everything. Like, again, global conspiracies don't start or stop with Jewish people. Thank you, MKOK. Thank you, Kaza, for the super sticker. Thank you, Kaza, again. Rick Hampstead, always a great show, making people think critically. God bless you, sir. Thank you, Rick Hampstead, for the wonderful donation and contribution. Listen, I love you all, and we are called to love everybody. You know, Christ requires us to love our neighbor like we love ourselves. So we're required to love everybody regardless of what they believe and who they are, whether they be Jewish, Muslim, Catholic, whatever, Christian, Buddhist, Taoism, all this, atheist, Satan worshiper. We are called to love everybody. And so that's what we should be doing. We should be offering salvation to the world and also loving everybody. But again, my stance on anti-Semitism is at its cap. If it's just wrong, then it's just wrong. You need a separate category for it. And as Ben Shapiro said, Title VI already protects Jewish people. You don't need to have once you start talking about this anti-Semitism and this isn't, it's going to be a problem. Because eventually all that talk's going to go to the Bible, because the Bible is the book in mass. It's the #1 selling book that says that the Jews killed Christ. And it also says that the Jews are the synagogue of Satan. So the #1 selling book in the world has stuff in it that indicts Jewish people. What are we talking about? So again, but push comes to shove, the book is going to be the problem. I'm just telling y'all, the book is going to be the problem. Thank you so much, Angel Wings, for moderating. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Kaza, for the last minute super sticker. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Agatis Navi, for moderating as well. Thank you, Rick Hampstead. Y'all keeping the chat going. I really love y'all and appreciate you all. Angel Wing says, thank you to each and every one of you for always showing up and supporting our brother Blanche. Good night and God bless. Thank you all so much. And I love you all. And I will see you all tomorrow on Cutting Through the Culture. Thank you.